today's session. Today we are embarking on our session number 3 of our discussion items. Those who have not yet watched the previous sessions, the session 1 and 2, we can go back to our channel and we go through the first and the second session. I believe you'll enjoy those scenario-based items that we have already discussed. Now today we are just looking at items in section A, and we are basically looking at item 2 questions. So all the items that we are discussing today, they are for only item 2 for section A. There are different scenarios, and today I want us to go through these different scenarios and different tasks. They are going to bring out the same idea, but they are set in different manner, and we're going to see how each of the item can be set and how each of the items can be responded to. Let's look at item 2, the first item. The scenario goes: a renowned environmental advocate in a certain village is thinking of installing the door and window frames for his house under construction. He knows that to have good quality frames, he should select the right materials with suitable qualities and properties. He is still confused with the choice and has approached you for some advice. Ask: use your knowledge of chemistry to explain the categories of materials he can use, the suitability of materials, and then part B, advise him on the choice of materials. So when you look at this scenario, where is the problem and from which topic is it coming from? So when you look at this scenario, this is someone in the village who wants to install a door and a window frame on his house, which is under construction. Now his problem is knowing to selecting which right material can he use for this purpose, which means we are looking at that kind of materials he can use and which are suitable, which have the capacity to do the job that he's going to use them for. So the first question is asking to explain to this person the category of materials he can use. And then the second question is the suitability of the materials he can use. What properties does that material have that make it good for that particular purpose? And finally, we advise him on the choice of material. So we're going to go through them very fast. Our response for A part 1. Now when we look at part 1, they are asking the categories of material, and here the response we are saying he can use. We are responding. The way we respond, it also matters. So here I'm starting the statement by saying he can use. We don't just come from the blue and we say synthetic materials. No, let's respond to the question, because the question was saying explain to him the category of materials he can use, and now we are coming to say he can use synthetic materials. We have categorized. Now we give a reason. You recall in this case we use our formula CRE: category, reason, and then examples. So here we say he can use synthetic materials. Reason: materials made by man. For example, we give even example iron metal. So you can get all your 3 scores. Part 2 is the suitability of material. What is it that this iron metal has? Which properties does it have that make it suitable for making window frames and doors? So we can now come and say iron is very hard. That is the first property. Durable, the second. Ductile, the third. And malleable. Those are how many points? There are 4. We say that at least we give 4 properties, but you can give at least means 4 and above. but when you give 4, you can maximize your scores. So we're saying that iron is very hard, durable, ductile, and malleable, and thus very suitable to be used for window frames and doors. So you see, we are responding to the question. Now, finally, we advise him on the choice of materials. On this case of advising him, we are saying that though this iron can be used for making these door frames and windows, it has some dangers. Once used, it has some dangers, and these dangers can bring about an effect, and this effect can be mitigated. So you see how we advise him, even how he can solve that problem. So we're saying that iron metal, when exposed to air and moisture, it can easily rust, reducing, so that is the danger, reducing on its durability and weakening it. When it reduces its durability and weakens it, it can lead to accidents and damages on the house. That is the effect. Now, how can that one be mitigated? It can be mitigated by painting to cut off the oxygen supply. So that is a good way, one of the ways that we can respond to this item. We shall come up with another item which is very similar, but when we are not using synthetic. Some people these days they are now cramming synthetic. It's not only synthetic materials which can be used, but for my case today, I have used synthetic material, and most especially I have selected iron metal. We shall see any other example where we can use maybe natural materials. Good. Let's go to item 2. Now, item 2, still it is coming from section A, item 2, but we are looking at an example under that item 2 of section A, under the same element of construct. So what is it saying? We are saying the scenario, charcoal is a common fuel used in many homes in Uganda. During its combustion in excess oxygen supply, it produces carbon dioxide. Your friend is using 20 grams of charcoal to cook food in a busy evening for guests. It burns completely as shown in the equation below. The equation we have in charcoal, which is carbon reacting with oxygen to produce carbon dioxide gas, and even the support material, we are seeing some charcoal which is burning in the stove. Now, what is the task? The task is saying, as a learner of chemistry, assess the product formed. As a learner of chemistry, assess. So they want you to assess the product. Are you seeing how another way we can bring this question of categorizing? Now they're just telling you, assess the product. Which product is that? So they want you to categorize the product which is formed. But to advise the friend on appropriateness of the product formed, appropriateness, they want you to tell us, advise this friend of yours on the suitability, on the properties that it has that make it suitable to do its function. Part C. Calculate the volume of the gas produced every busy evening. They have given us 1 mole of a gas occupies 24 decimeter cubed at RTP. And the molar mass of carbon, 12, mass of oxygen, 16. Then finally, you help the friend understand the impact of the product in the environment. So we can see how best we can respond to these items. So part A is assess the product. As a learner of chemistry, assess the product formed. What is the product formed? The product is carbon dioxide. When we look at our equation, charcoal is burning in oxygen to produce carbon dioxide gas. Now we can say that the product is a covalent compound. A covalent compound. We have categorized it as a covalent compound. But as we said, when we are categorizing these products, we have to categorize. We give a reason of category and then we give the example. So I'm saying the product is covariant compound because it is formed by sharing of electrons between non-metal atoms. For example, carbon dioxide, which is our example in the scenario. But I've given other examples like sulfur dioxide, ammonia, and more others. Then another student could say we can consider it as an acidic oxide. Why? Because it dissolves in water to form acidic solution. For example, carbon dioxide gas. So any of the two can work. We can categorize it as covariant compound depending on its structure, or we can categorize it as an oxide. So any of the two remains correct. Now, part 2, they are talking about appropriateness. Please, I said as we are going through this work, we can always pause, we will note down, we write down the question, and then we go to the solution, we pause, and then you ask even if there's something which was not clear, go in the comment section and ask, or inbox on those numbers which I share, and we can discuss more. You have not understood very well. Now, part B, appropriateness. We said appropriateness of this product, we are looking at the properties, the characteristics of this product that make it suitable for its use. So number one, we are having carbon dioxide is, our product is carbon dioxide, and we're looking at its properties that make it suitable for its use. So I'm saying carbon dioxide is inflammable. That's used in fire extinguishers. Carbon dioxide is colorless and tasteless. That's used to preserve fizzy drinks. Carbon dioxide reacts with metals and bases. That's used in photosynthesis by plants. Then absence of toxicity is another property that's used in controlled environments like greenhouse to encourage plant growth. That is done. We said on that part we look at least 4 properties. So those ones are 4 and we are good to go. Now the part C, they are asking us to talk about, to calculate the amount of carbon dioxide which is released every busy evening. Don't forget that there is something they have provided to us in our scenario. When we look at our scenario here, they have provided in our question, they have provided for us 1 mole of a gas occupies this at RTP. But also in the scenario, they have given us that every busy evening she uses 20 grams. Are you seeing that? So there's something that we know. So from our equation, when you come back to part C, we start from what we know. From our equation, charcoal burning in oxygen to produce carbon dioxide gas. So we can interpret it in terms of moles, and we say, and we are considering what our main emphasis is on charcoal and the product is producing. So we can say 1 mole of charcoal, we're using the coefficients. Coefficient of carbon is 1, coefficient of carbon dioxide is 1. So when you are interpreting in terms of moles, we use the coefficients. So we're saying that 1 mole of charcoal produces 1 mole of 1 mole of carbon dioxide. What do we know about 1 mole of carbon? It's equivalent to its molar mass, which they have given us as 12 grams. What do you know about 1 mole of any gas? They occupy the same volume. And they have given us that 1 mole of a gas occupies 24 decimeter cubed. So instead of 1 mole, we replace it with 24 decimeter cubed. Instead of 1 mole here, we replace it with 12 grams. So here you get your score. Then, if 12 grams of charcoal produces this, what about 1 gram? So 1 gram will be 24 divided by 12, and you get also a score. Then, recall they said he uses 20 grams every busy evening. So if 1 gram can produce this, what about 20 grams? It will produce 24 times 20 divided by 12. And finally, we get our answer as 40 decimeter cubed of the product at RTP. And finally, look at part D. Part D was asking the impact of the product. Impact of the product, they want us to talk about the danger, its effect, and its mitigation. We summarize it as DEM. We summarize it as DEM. DEM. So DEM, we're looking at danger, and then we are looking at effect and its mitigation. So carbon dioxide is our product. Its danger, we are saying carbon dioxide accumulation in the atmosphere causes an increase in temperature. It causes an increase in temperature that causes discomfort to people and other animals. Discomfort, its effect. This can be mitigated by planting trees. Its mitigation. So you have to make sure that we include all the three: the danger, its effect, and its mitigation. Another person can say, but we need only 1 point. But for the case of discussion, I have given 2 points. Another point is saying carbon dioxide accumulation in the atmosphere causes acid rain that can cause crumbling of buildings and changing soil pH. This can be mitigated by planting trees. So you can see the 3 points can be gotten 3 scores. Okay, let's go to another item part 3 for item 2, section A. We're still in section A, but looking at different scenarios in section A, item 2. How are they set? Looking at different topics and how different topics can be responded to in the same manner. Let's look at this item under periodic table, and item under reactions, reactivity series. So this number can come from different areas. We are going to see how best we can respond to this item. Okay, scenario. While investigating the reaction of period 3 elements with water, Musa first considered 2 elements, A and B, and the results of their reaction with water is summarized in the table below. We have a column for element and a column for observations. Element A reacted vigorously while floating on surface of cold water, forming an alkaline solution with evolution of hydrogen gas. Element B reacted slowly with cold water, forming an alkaline solution and hydrogen gas, but when heated with steam, formed a white solid and hydrogen gas. Task: as a chemistry learner, give the category of elements A and B. Part B, predict the reaction of other elements in period 3 with water. So here they want us to predict, still they want us to look at their properties of those elements. And here for category, we said we categorize, we give the reason, and we give the example. Advise Musa about the dangers associated with the reaction of these elements with water. So let's look at this item faster. When you say categorize, we have seen how A behaved, we have seen how B behaved. Which category can you put in the periodic from the periodic table? If you recall very well, in the periodic table we have the elements which are categorized as metals, non-metals, and also we have those ones which are known as metalloids. But in this case, when you look at this scenario, they're telling us A reacted with water, B also reacted with cold water. Now we need to find out, in metals and non-metals, which ones react with water in that format. they are only metals. Are we there? Now, A and B, we suspect them to be what? Metals. But now we see element A reacting differently with element B. Which kind of metals react with water violently while floating, forming alkaline solution? Which ones react slowly with cold water, forming alkaline solution, producing hydrogen gas, but when heated with steam, form white solid? Which kind of metals are those? So that's what they want us to categorize. So we can come and every say, and we can categorize. I said you can always pause and you note down in your notebook. So we can say element is an alkali metal. We have alkali metals. Mostly alkali metals are group 1 elements. Because it reacts vigorously, we have given the reason, and then we can give an example. So you can see we have 3 scores. Element A is an alkali metal because it reacts vigorously, violently with water, floats on the surface, forms an alkaline solution, and evolves hydrogen gas. This behavior is a characteristic of alkali metals like sodium or potassium. Then we have element B is an alkaline earth metal. You see, that is the category because it reacts slowly with water to form alkaline solution and hydrogen gas, and when heated with steam it forms white solid. This is typical alkaline earth metal like magnesium. You see, so we can give the category, we give the reason, and then we give the example. Because they wanted us to categorize elements A and B, that's why you have categorized all the 2. But if they had said categorize one of the elements A or B, then you could have talked about only one. But according to the question, they wanted us to talk about the 2 elements. Now, part B, they wanted us to predict the reactions of other group period 3 elements. So they are here. We're going to go through them very fast. So elements in period 3 of periodic table include, we are listing them, we include sodium, magnesium, aluminium, we have silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, and argon. So we're going to look at how each of those react with water. So we start with sodium. Sodium would react similarly to element A. I believe we have already talked about it when we look at up here. We said element A is an alkali metal because it reacts, so we have already talked about sodium in that case. So it reacts similarly with how element A reacts. So that one we have already talked about it. Then we can go to magnesium, which we have not yet talked about. So we're saying that magnesium would react similarly to element B. Now, don't forget that magnesium is also an alkaline earth metals. Alkaline earth metals are group 2 elements. If you check very well, alkaline earth metals, we said magnesium, calcium. So these are group 2 majorly, and then these are group 1. So even magnesium will react similarly as that of element B. Now, aluminium. Aluminium reacts with water only when it is finely powdered at high temperatures, forming aluminium oxide and hydrogen gas. It is a condition that reacts only when it is finely powdered and should be at high temperatures. If not, it will not react. Then phosphorus and sulfur do not react with water. Then chlorine do not react with water, but chlorine dissolves in water, forming a mixture of hypochlorous or chloric acid and hydrochloric acid. So that is how chlorine reacts. The equation, symbolic equation is there. But if you don't know the symbolic, you can use the word equation. Then silicon does not react with water under normal conditions, but reacts with steam to form silicon 4 oxide. So it reacts with only steam. And then argon is a noble gas. It does not react with water. And that is our reaction of period 3 elements. We can put them down. Any other time this question can come in any other different style, but you can use the same approach. Now, advise Juma about the dangers associated with these reactions. So you can advise him in many different ways. We have Juma should be aware that reactions of metals with water can be highly exothermic, meaning they release significant amount of heat, so they can be explosive. Evaporation of hydrogen gas can be dangerous as it is highly flammable and can lead to explosions. Juma should conduct these experiments in well-ventilated. You think this is the mitigation or what he should do to mitigate all these dangers. So well-ventilated and use proper safety equipment such as gloves and goggles to protect from splashes and heat generated. It is also important to have a fire extinguisher. All these, but as we said, we talk about the danger it can bring, its effect it can bring, and then we talk about its mitigation. So we can have already summarized them in that solution. Let's look at our second last item. Now, our second last item is similar to our first item. It is still looking at the kind of materials we can use, but now we are going to look at how we can approach it in different manner. Let's go through it and we see item 4, but for item 2 still section A. In a certain village, a community hall that was constructed recently has developed several huge cracks and is about to collapse. The residents are very angry and planning to arrest and beat up the manager of the construction firm that was hired to build it, accusing him of using substandard materials. The chairperson of the village council has coordinated with the community development officer and organized a meeting with the residents to discuss possible alternatives to rebuild the community hall without affecting the environment. And that is our community hall, which has developed cracks. You can see it is here to collapse down. Now they're saying task: use your knowledge of chemistry to explain the categories of materials they can consider, suitability of the materials. Part B, advise the residents and concerned authorities on the choice of the materials. So when you look at this scenario, they want someone to pick out the material they can use, and this material should not be affecting our environment. So which kind of material can we use? They want the category of the material. We said in categorization, we look at category, we give the reason, and we give the example. Let's go through the solutions very fast. So we are saying that when we are responding, respond to the question very well, so that they can use categories of material they can use. So I started by saying they can consider natural materials because they are formed through natural processes without human intervention. Good. That is a reason. For example, stones. You see, get your 3 scores. But I'm not saying that this is not only the answer. Someone can use any other example apart from stones. Someone can use artificial materials. Please don't stick your mind to this. What I'm giving us is how to approach these items. So you get your 3 scores. Then part 2, suitability of the material. Suitability, we are looking at which properties do stones have that make it suitable to make a good house that will not collapse. So we're saying stones have a high compressive strength to withstand loads. It is durable. It is very strong, resistant to moisture, and it is affordable. How many points have I given? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. And we say that they can be at least 4. They can be 4 or above, but don't give less than 4. So those are some. Please, we give properties which are in line with the scenario. Don't just give any property which is not in line with solving the problem at hand. Part B, they want us to advise on the choice of this material. Why are we choosing this material? So in this case, we can always give the function, and then after we use the dem, we say it can be used for this, but once used, it can bring about this danger, which can bring about this effect, but can be mitigated through these ways. So that's what we're saying, that stones are used for foundations, walls, floors, and decorations in the construction. That is the function. Then later we can say, quarrying stones causes environmental damage and health risks from the stone dust, which results into what? Respiratory diseases, thus death. That is its effect. This can be mitigated through practicing sustainable quarrying and ensure safety with protective gear. So you can see we have given the danger it can bring about, its effect, and its mitigation. So that's how we can advise these people who are using stones for building. Our very last question. This is also something we have looked at somewhere in our second question. But though they are the same, you'll find out that they can be asked in another different style, in another different manner. We are still in item 2, section A, and we are still in the same element of construct. Our answering approach remains the same, but the scenarios are different. Let's look through it very fast. Aluminium chloride is one of the substances which are mostly used in water treatment to remove impurities and contaminants from water. Obed, one of the biochemists, is concerned of the wood of what? There's something missing here. Is concerned of what would be okay. You forgive my handwriting there, but we're saying that Obed, one of the biochemists, is concerned of what would be, this is of what would be impact of this substance in the environment, and would like to know more about this substance, that is the aluminium chloride. Now, as a chemistry learner, explain the category of the product. Yes, as you explain the category of the product, you're helping this person to get to know more about the substance. Guide him on suitability, the properties it has that make it suitable for its purpose. Advise him on the impact, then we talk about its use, its danger, its effect, and its mitigation. So let's go through the solution very fast. Part A, category. So you are saying aluminum chloride can be categorized as a ionic compound. You call aluminum is a metal, chlorine is a non-metal. So it can be categorized as an ionic compound in its solid state because it involves transfer. This is the reason. From a metal to a non-metal, forming a unique bond. So this is the reason. Of course, example is here. The example is the aluminum chloride. In part B, guide him on the suitability. Suitability, we are looking at the properties that make it suitable for its use. So here we can just say the product, this is not odd, is the product is easily soluble in water. It has high melting and boiling point. Formation, it forms ions. Available in different forms. It is available in different forms. It is good. It is good at low concentration, so which means can use even very little. Very little, and you can save in that case. It works well. So all these are points we are putting down. We have formation of ions, available in different forms, works well in different types of water, and it is cost effective. That's very good to be used in water treatment. So those are more than 4 points, and we say that here we just need at least 4 points for you to maximize or the scores. Now part C is saying advise him on the impact of the substance. Impact. So we can talk about the danger, its effect, and its mitigation. So we're saying that excessive aluminum chloride can contaminate the soil and water. This is a danger, harming the plant and aquatic life by increasing aluminum concentration and causing water acidity. So this is its effect. This can be mitigated through using controlled usage. So you can see we can get all the 3 scores. Please, I'm saying enjoy the beauty. Chemistry, we need to enjoy it each and every day we interact with it. And saying prepared by still Isaac Nyirimbibi, and you can always contact on those contacts for any query, for any comment, for any supplement. I normally will come all the supplements and all the comments, because all are the things that help us to modify more and more our work. For those you recall, this is 2025. Don't forget to make an order for your copy. Things have been summarized. Copy by Isaac Nyirimbibi, the practical book, 2nd edition, 2025. It is out. Grab your copy today. Make an order. It can reach you wherever you are. And then we have this one for scenario-based items. We are going through the answering approaches, but practice makes perfect. So as you practice more using this book, you can be in senior 1, senior 2, up to senior 4. You can be a teacher. These 2 books are very good for you to do revision work and practicing. Otherwise, don't forget to come in to subscribe and share to your friends so they can always benefit from this that we are discussing and going through. We are always having sessions online on Zoom. Don't forget to inbox and join us in those lessons. Contact on those numbers, inbox, or they're all on WhatsApp, and you can join us on our Zoom lessons to have an interactive discussion. Otherwise, God bless.